My neighbor and my own brother secretly petitioned the HOA to rezone my house as commercial, just to drive me out. I fought it in silence, showed up to the hearing with 200 pages of evidence, and blew their entire case apart. Not only did I win, but I got their houses slapped with major code violations costing them each tens of thousands in repairs. They moved within 6 months, humiliated and broke. I'm a quiet man. Always have been. I live in Round Rock, Texas, just north of Austin. Bought my house back in 2008, after my wife passed from cancer. It was supposed to be our forever home. Now it's mine alone. I keep it neat. Mind my business. Pay my taxes. But some people don't respect boundaries. That includes my neighbor Greg. And my own brother Travis. 3 years ago, Travis went through a rough patch. Lost his job. His wife kicked him out. No savings. No options. He called me, begging for help. Said he just needed a place to crash for a bit. I took him in. Family, right? That's what you do. For 6 months he stayed in my guest room. Rent-free. I even covered his groceries. At first, he was grateful. Helped mow the lawn, took out the trash. But soon he got too comfortable. Started bringing over friends. Drinking on the back porch until late. Acting like the house was his. When I told him it was time to get his own place, he blew up. Cursed me out. Packed his things in the middle of the night, and stormed off. 2 months later, he bought a small place 2 streets over. That's when Greg entered the picture. Greg lived next door. A little younger than me. HOA board member. Big into neighborhood values. But really, he just liked controlling people. He was the kind who'd fine you for having your trash cans out 10 minutes late, while his own gutters sagged with leaves. He and Travis became fast friends. United by one thing, hating me. They'd stand in Greg's driveway, whispering and laughing. I'd see them glance over at my house. Then the harassment started. It began with anonymous HOA reports. Truck parked in driveway too long. Trash cans visible. Unkempt yard. All false. My truck was never there more than a night. My yard was trimmed like a golf course. But every week, another letter showed up in my mailbox. I ignored it. Figured they'd get bored. They didn't. One morning, a certified letter arrived. Not from the HOA. From the City of Round Rock Planning Department. Someone had filed a petition to rezone my property from residential to commercial. If approved, my taxes would quadruple. My insurance would spike. I'd be in violation of HOA rules. Eventually, I'd be forced to sell. The petition claimed I was operating an illegal auto repair business out of my garage. I don't even change my own oil. I requested a copy of the petition. 2 names were on it, Gregory Allen Pierce. Travis Michael Reeves. My own brother. I didn't yell. Didn't threaten. Didn't even call them. If they thought I'd roll over, they didn't know me at all. I got to work. First, I started filing public information requests. Every email between Greg, Travis, the HOA, and the city. I printed everything. I combed through HOA meeting minutes for the past year. Guess who was pushing neighborhood improvement initiatives? Greg. I gathered photos proving my property was 100% residential. Statements from 5 neighbors willing to testify on my behalf. Noise complaint records, none filed against me, several against Greg and Travis. Permitting history for Greg and Travis's homes. While they were sipping beers thinking they'd driven me into a corner, I was building a 200-page binder. The rezoning hearing was set for March 15th. The city planning office was small. Long table. 5 board members. Greg arrived in a gray suit. Smiling. Travis was with him, wearing a cheap sports coat. Greg's wife came too. Sat in the back, arms crossed like she owned the place. Greg started. He called me a public nuisance. Claimed my home. Attracted the wrong element. said the street deserved. Better. Travis nodded along like a loyal puppy. Then they presented their evidence. A few blurry photos of cars in my driveway. Half weren't even mine. I stood. Gave each board member a copy of my binder. First, I said, my property is, and always has been, residential. Here's proof from the county appraisal office. Second, I'm not operating any business. Here are affidavits from neighbors confirming that. Third, here are emails where the petitioners, Greg and Travis, discussed targeting me for personal reasons. I showed emails where Greg literally said, "We'll make his life hell until he sells." I also pointed out that Greg and Travis both had multiple unpermitted structures on their properties. When I was done, the board sat in stunned silence. One of them finally spoke. This isn't a zoning issue. This is harassment. They rejected the petition. Unanimously. Then they told me to stay while they discussed next steps. The city referred Greg and Travis to the Code Enforcement Office. The following month, inspectors hit both properties hard. Greg's illegal shed had to come down. His backyard deck? Unstable and built without a permit. Travis's garage conversion? Completely illegal. Greg faced $38,450 in fines and mandatory repairs. Travis got hit with $26,700 in violations. Neither had that kind of money. Within 6 months, they both sold and left the neighborhood. At a loss. Travis sent me a Christmas card that winter. Said he was sorry. Wanted to reconnect. I didn't even open it. Tossed it straight in the trash. The street's quiet again. Miss Ellen waves to me every morning. New neighbors moved in. Good people. I installed cameras around my property. Keep copies of everything. Let them try again. I'll always be ready. For about 4 months after Greg and Travis moved out, life felt normal. Almost too normal. New folks bought Greg's old house, a retired firefighter named Joe and his wife, Dana. Good, quiet people. We got along fine. Travis's old place stayed empty for a bit, then sold to some young couple. Never had a problem with them. But peace never lasts forever, does it? One hot Saturday afternoon, I got a knock at my door. I opened it expecting a package or maybe Joe needing a hand. It was Travis. He looked worse for wear. Skinny. Face rough with stubble. Wearing a stained polo shirt. I just want to talk, he said. I crossed my arms. We've got nothing to talk about. Please, he begged. I lost everything. Greg promised it'd all work out, that he had friends on the city board. He bailed on me. Moved to Tennessee. I'm screwed, man. I said nothing. I can't find work. No one will rent to me after the fines hit my credit. I got a daughter now, Rachel. I'm trying to be better. I'll admit, that part gave me pause. I didn't know he had a child. But then he slipped in his real reason for showing up. I need you to write a letter to the court. Say I was misled. It'll help clear some of the violations from my record. So that's what this was. Not about family. Not about healing. Just self-preservation. No, I said. You made your bed. He tried to argue. Even stepped toward the door like he might push inside. That's when Joe, my new neighbor, stepped out of his yard holding a pair of gardening shears and called over. You all right, bud? Travis froze. His nerve cracked. I'll see you again, he muttered before leaving. A few weeks later, small things started happening. My mailbox got smashed, twice. Someone egged my truck. Nails scattered in my driveway. Petty stuff. Annoying but not dangerous. I reported everything to the police. Filed reports. Installed even more cameras, including hidden trail cams along the edges of my yard. Then, one night around 2 a.m., my back fence caught fire. It burned halfway before the fire department got it under control. They found a gas can behind the fence line. Arson. Luckily, the trail cams had done their job. Two grainy photos showed a man in a hoodie pouring liquid along the fence. The face wasn't clear, but the tattoo on his forearm was. It was Travis's. A cheap skull with dice. He got it back when he thought he was going to be a professional gambler. I handed the photos to the police. An arrest warrant was issued. But Travis never showed up for questioning. Turns out he'd skipped town. Cleaned out what little money he had and vanished. Last anyone heard, he was hiding out somewhere around Corpus Christi, staying with an old drinking buddy. But now he wasn't just facing code violations. He was a wanted man. Just when I thought the nightmare was ending, I got a letter. Not from the city. Not from the HOA. From a lawyer. Travis's ex-wife was suing me. She claimed I had provoked and escalated the situation, contributing to Travis's financial ruin and emotional breakdown. It was absurd. But absurd or not, it meant court. Again. I hired a lawyer. A sharp one named Brenda Morales. Local. No nonsense. When we met, I laid everything out: the rezoning scheme, the fake complaints, the arson, the arrest warrant for Travis, and now this lawsuit from his ex-wife, Amber. Brenda went through the papers and shook her head. They're desperate. But desperation can still cause damage. We filed a countersuit immediately. Defamation. Harassment. Legal fees. Court was set for June. The courtroom was small. Felt more like a church hall than a place where lives could be destroyed. Amber showed up with a cheap lawyer from some billboard ad. She looked tired. Angry. She kept glancing around like Travis might show up any second. But he didn't. He was still a fugitive. Her claim was simple: that I had provoked Travis into mental collapse. That I used my influence to ruin his finances and home. That I owed her damages for emotional distress and lost child support. It was a pathetic attempt. But it was still dangerous. Amber had one thing on her side: sympathy. She brought her little girl, Rachel, to the courtroom. A prop, honestly. But effective. Brenda stood. Calm. Precise. She presented police reports about the mailbox, truck, nails, and arson. Photos of Travis's tattoo from the arson video. The rezoning petition with Greg and Travis's signatures. Emails proving harassment. Evidence that Travis had fled and had a warrant for felony arson. Finally, Brenda pulled out something neither Amber nor her lawyer expected. A statement from Amber's own landlord, saying Travis had stolen from her apartment before running off. That broke the case wide open. The judge didn't even take an hour to decide. Amber's lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice. She couldn't refile. Then came my countersuit. The judge awarded me $42,000 for legal fees and damages. A permanent restraining order against Amber and Travis. Amber broke down in the courtroom. Her lawyer tried to comfort her, but it was over. She didn't have that kind of money. Her wages were garnished. 2 months later, police found Travis living in a rundown trailer near Corpus Christi. He was working under the table at a marina, sleeping in a camper without electricity. They arrested him. He was charged with felony arson, destruction of property, harassment. At trial, he tried to claim he was set up. But the video, the tattoo, and his running away told the real story. He got 5 years in prison. As for Greg? Word got back to me that his new life in Tennessee wasn't going well. He bought a fixer-upper he couldn't afford to fix. Fell behind on mortgage payments. Filed for bankruptcy. The man who once tried to control my street couldn't even control his own finances. I won. But not without cost. My once quiet life had turned into a battleground. I spent thousands on lawyers, security, and repairs. I lost my faith in family. And Rachel, the little girl, she would grow up without a father. I didn't feel guilty for what I did. But I couldn't pretend it was a perfect victory. When you go to war, even when you win, you lose something too. The street is peaceful again. Joe still waves every morning. Miss Ellen passed away last winter, peacefully in her sleep. I visit her grave sometimes. I tell her the neighborhood is safe now. The cameras are still up. The binder of evidence? Locked in a safe. Because if anyone ever tries again, I won't hesitate. I won't ever be caught off guard again.